Hi there, welcome to the office where we discuss all things about universal laws and practicing love. I'm just going to turn this hourglass to make sure I don't go too overboard in terms of the content. So, the subject matter for today is actually quite interesting. It's all about the practicing love during the day of birth. So, yes, exactly right. That's what you're thinking. Every single person was born at some point in time. So we're not talking about your annual birthdays, but the actual day of your birth. And if you're a mama out there, you will definitely know what I'm talking about. It's the labor process and the actual day of you giving birth to your beautiful baba and your bundle of joy. Now, the reason I decided to actually make a video series about this subject matter today is because I had a dream last night when I was sleeping that I was making a video about birthdays. Now, this particular subject matter was not on my list. I did not even plan to make content about the day of birth at all, but because of my dream last night, I said, well, I'm going to be led by spirit, by my angels, my guardian angels. If that's what they want me to talk about, then I'll be talking about the day of birth and the process of, the labor process and how to practice love, around that special period of time in anyone's life, actually. I might be leaning more on my tarot cards and other oracle cards today, just because, the dream came through last night. And, I will be hoping that there will be some other messages that I could relay, perhaps using some guidance from spirit and the wonderful energies out there. Now, so grab a cup of tea or coffee, or some water if that's what you're after, and we'll dive straight into it. So the structure is as always 3 parts. The first part will be all about talking about the factual scenario, a little bit more about the day of birth. I'll just relay a few more details about that, followed by some universal laws that are at play during the day of birth. Well, the ones that I think that popped into my head anyway. And then part 2 will all be about the application of the universal laws and the practicing love, the holy trinity of love. Think love, speak love, do love. And the last part will be some advice, some suggestions, next steps or outcome, any kind of departing comments and thoughts that might come my way. So if we kick off with the factual scenario, so as I mentioned, this particular series of videos will be all about the actual day of birth. Now, here's an interesting statistic for you, team. According to the United Nations, 385,000 babies are born each day. 385,000 babies each day. Wow, right? Now, if we think a little bit more in depth as to the process of birthing, right? There's the baby that's been born, and there's always the presence of the mother, okay? Those are the 2 key stakeholders in any particular process of giving birth, okay? However, of course, there are other individuals that they're prevalent in the mother's and the baby's life. It could be, the father, the dad of the baby, his partner or spouse, any other kind of guardians. It could be the wider family of the baby, relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents. We all love our grandparents, don't we? And those who are fortunate to have had grandparents during their childhood, shout out to the grandmas and the granddads out there. And then, depending on where the mother chooses to birth the baby, right? The actual physical location, but more commonly, especially if there are any challenges or difficulties, obstacles with the birth, then you'll most likely be taken to, the hospital in order to give birth. So they'll usually be a midwife accompanying you, as well as nurses, doctors, other medical staff, and other assistants and helpers along the journey. Now, if everything goes okay, I know mamas who choose to give birth at home, and well done, you ladies, for being so courageous and strong to do that. I'm in awe of you ladies, but I'm sure there will be, the likes of midwives and other helpers there assisting you, even if there are no formal doctors on the side. So the day of birth, right? What are some universal laws? And I always go for about top three that pop into my mind. And so the first one that I would like to discuss is the energy transformation, right? As I said previously, I'm all but promoted that everything is energy. Energy can't be created or destroyed. Energy transforms. And in this particular situation, it's all about that cycle of birthing and decaying, and specifically, we're all about that, the beginning, the birthing process, a new beginning, and in an interesting way, I suppose, the decaying or the completion part is actually for the mother who has finished with her pregnancy, right? So there's a cycle completion of the pregnancy, but the beginning of being a mama bear with a baby at your hand. So that's an interesting concept to think about, and the transformation of energy that is prevalent and all of that. Now, the second, I guess, universal law, which is connected to the concept of energy that I truly believe in, and focusing on the fact that it just so happens that is the females who are able to birth babies. You've got the divine feminine energy, the presence of that during the day of birth, and that's lovely. I'm all about the divine feminine energy. I think it's beautiful, it's gorgeous. Now, I'm not saying that only females or women have divine feminine energy. I'm actually a proponent and advocate for the fact that every single individual and even creature, animal, plant, being, object, whatever it is, actually has a mixture of divine feminine and divine masculine energy at both times, and it may change on a day-to-day basis how much you have one or the other. And obviously during the day of birth, just going back to the subject matter, obviously because we've got a mother, a female figure giving birth, then it's definitely that strong presence of divine feminine. And the last universal law before we head into the part two, which is the application part of practicing love. So the third principle that came to my mind is the duality. Okay, duality of things. Now, living on planet Earth, we have the wonderful, duality of things. We have day, we have night. Common things like colors. The black, the opposite is the white. Likewise with what I just mentioned, masculine, feminine. There's this, duality that is going on that I have observed anyway, and good, bad. Just as another example that popped into my head. Now, what happens here is, and funny enough, I literally just before I set up here, I pinched my finger really, really badly, and I had a bit of pain in my little finger, and I thought, right, the pain, of course, the birthing pains that poor mamas have to go through during their labor, and the duality of that is the outcome that you receive when you give birth to the baby, and it's this absolute flowing emotion of love towards your baby, right? Towards your beautiful bundle of joy, your offspring, your beautiful, beautiful child comes into this world. And I have heard of mamas in the past saying, look, straight after that labor, as soon as their baby's out, they're like, you know what, I could have another one. Despite going all through that labor, I'll have another one, thanks. Just because of that contrast. So the duality being extreme pain, transformation into extreme love, following the giving of the birth. So on that note, I'm going to stop right there with the universal laws, and we'll jump into part two, which is the application of universal laws and practicing love. See you shortly, team. Thanks.